Dealings with the Dead, number 73. When I was a very young man, I had the honor of a slight acquaintance with a most worthy gentleman, my senior by many years, who represented the town of Hull in the legislature of our Commonwealth. As I marked the solemn step with which he moved along the public way towards the House of Representatives, and the weight of responsibility which hung upon his anxious brow, if such, thought I, is the effect produced upon the representative of Hull, what an awful thing it must be to represent the whole United States of North America at the court of the greatest nation in the world. In harmony with this opinion, every nation of the earth has selected from the elite of the whole country for the high and responsible employment of standing before the world as the legitimate representative of itself, a man of affairs. I do not mean the affairs of trade and discounts and invoices and profits. I use the word in its most ample diplomatic sense. A man of great wisdom and knowledge and experience, a man familiar with the laws of nations, a man of dignity, not that arrogated dignity which looks supremely wise while it feels supremely foolish, but that conscious dignity which is innate and sits upon the wearer like an easy garment, a man of liberal education and great familiarity, not with the whole circle of sciences, but with the whole circle of historical and correlative knowledge, a man of classical erudition and a scholar competent to bear a becoming part in that elevated intercourse of mind which forms the dignified and delightful recreation of the diplomatist in the first society of Europe. Men who have been bred up amid the pursuits of trade have been, with great propriety, selected to fill the offices of consuls in foreign lands, agreeably to the long-established distinction that consuls represent the commercial affairs, ambassadors the state and dignity of the country from whence they come. Oh, for the wand of that enchantress, the glorious witch of Endor, to turn up the sod of memory and conjure from their honorable graves the train of illustrious and highly gifted men who from time to time have been sent forth to represent this great republic before the throne of England. First on that scroll of honor is a name which shall prove coeval with the first days and with the last of this republic. It shall never perish till the whole earth itself shall be rolled up like a scroll. On the 2nd day of June, 1785, John Adams was presented to King George III, the very man whom that obstinate old monarch had never contemplated in his royal visions, but as a rebel suing for pardon, with a rope about his neck, then stood before him, calm and erect, the equal of that king in all things, that became a man, and is mighty superior in many, the representative of a nation, which his consummate wisdom and invincible moral courage had contributed so materially to render free and independent. What a tribute was conveyed in the words of Jefferson, his political rival, the great pillar and support of the Declaration of Independence, and its ablest advocate and champion on the floor of the House was John Adams. He was the colossus that conquers, not graceful, not eloquent, not always fluent in his public addresses. He yet came out with a power, both of thought and expression, which moved the hearers from their seats. In those thoughtful days, secretaries of legation were carefully selected, and with some reference, of course, to their contingent responsibilities in the event of the absence or illness of their principals, when in 1779 Mr. Adams went on his mission to France, a gentleman of high qualifications, Mr. Francis Dana, gave up his seat as a member of Congress to follow that great man as Secretary of Legation. Mr. Dana subsequently figured ably and gracefully in the highest stations in 1780. He was minister to Russia in 1784. He was a delegate to Congress. In 1797, he declined the office of envoy extraordinary to France. From 1792 to 1806 of the Common Era, he was the able, impartial, and eminently dignified Chief Justice of the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts. In 1794, it was thought by the appointing power that John Jay might be trusted to represent our republic at the British court. With what a reputation for wisdom and talents and learning that great man crossed the sea. Mr. Jay, an eminent lawyer, uniting the wisdom and dignity of years with the vigor and zeal of early manhood, was a member of the first American Congress at the age of 29, chairman of the committee of which Lee and Livingston were members. He was author of the eloquent Address to the People of Great Britain. He was Chief Justice of the State of New York from 1777 to 1779 and relinquished that elevated station as incompatible with the due performance of his duties. As President of Congress, from his skillful hand came the stirring address of that assembly to its constituents of September 8, 1779. He was appointed minister plenipotentiary to Spain. At the close of that year, a commissioner to negotiate peace with Great Britain in 1782, Chief Justice of the Supreme Judicial Court of the United States in 1789, Governor of New York in 1795, being then abroad as Minister Plenipotentiary of the United States to Great Britain, to which office he was appointed in 1794, and again Governor of New York in 1798. Rufus King graduated at Harvard College in 1777 with a high reputation as a classical scholar and orator, and studied his profession with the late Chief Justice Parsons. In 1784, he was a delegate to Congress. He was a member of the Convention of 1787 to form the Constitution of the United States. In 1789, he was a member of the United States Senate. Of the celebrated Cumulus Papers, commonly ascribed to Hamilton, all excepting the 10 first, were from the pen of Rufus King. In 1796, he was nominated by Washington Minister Plenipotentiary to the Court of Great Britain. He filled that high station till the close of the second year of the Jefferson administration. After a long retirement, he was again in the Senate of the United States in 1813. After quitting the Senate in 1825, he was once more appointed minister to Great Britain, but after remaining abroad about a year in ill health, he returned and died in Jamaica, Long Island, April 29, 1827. And what shall I more say? For the time would fail me to tell of Pinckney and Gore and the younger Adams, that incarnation of wisdom and learning, and Gallatin and Maclean and Everett and Bancroft, every one of whom has been preceded by the well-earned reputation of high intellectual powers and attainments, whatever may have been the difference of their political opinions. Knowledge is power, talent is power, and fine literary tastes and acquirements are preeminently power, and in no spot upon the surface of the earth are they more truly so than in the great British metropolis. The wand of a man of letters can there do more than can be achieved by the power of Midas or by the wonder-working lamp of Aladdin. The Arabic for Aladdin is Allahuddin. Basically divine judgment. Our fathers, therefore, preferred that the nation should be represented in its simplicity and strength by men of long heads, strong hearts, and short purses. They considered a regular, thorough, and polished education, literary attainments of a very high order, and a clear and comprehensive knowledge of the law of nations, and an extensive store of general information absolutely essential in a minister plenipotentiary from this republic, that the court of Great Britain for our state and dignity were to be represented there not less than our commercial relations. They well knew that our representative should be qualified to represent the refined and educated portions of our community in the presence of those elevated classes among whom he must frequently appear, and whose talk, to use the expression of Dr. Johnson, was not likely to be of bollocks. They, therefore, invariably selected for this exalted station one who would be abundantly able to represent the nation with gravity and dignity and wisdom and knowledge and power, and who would never be reduced, whatever the subject might be, to believe his safety was in sitting still, or of suffering the secret of his impotency to escape by opening his mouth. If I have passed too rapidly for the reader's willingness to linger over the names of some highly distinguished men who have so aptly represented our country at the British court, and who still survive, it's because my dealings are with the dead.